Have you ever found yourself wondering why, despite doing all the right things, like avoiding overly fatty foods, keeping an eye on blood pressure, and staying as active as your body allows, you still worry about your heart health? It's a common concern among those of us in our 60s, 70s, and beyond. After all, our hearts work tirelessly every second of every day, and any talk of heart disease can feel particularly urgent. For years, many people believed that once they reached a certain age, they shouldn't bother with interventions like statins, or that statins were only for those with major heart problems. This belief often arises from misconceptions about side effects, or the idea that after a certain age the medication won't make a big difference. But what if there's more to the story? What if low-dose statins after 65 are actually a protective measure rather than a risky gamble? Let's talk about why this matters deeply. Heart attacks don't always come with clear warnings. Sometimes they strike seemingly out of nowhere, robbing us of our independence and limiting our ability to do the things we love, like gardening, traveling, or simply taking a long, leisurely walk with a grandchild. The challenge is that as we age, our bodies become more susceptible to the buildup of arterial plaque and the stresses of long-term wear and tear. Even if you've maintained a relatively healthy lifestyle, some changes in cholesterol levels can occur naturally over time. That's why learning about low-dose statins might be one of the most significant steps you can take to protect your heart health and ultimately your independence. Imagine waking up each morning and feeling confident that you're doing something tangible, yet manageable, to keep your heart strong. That's exactly the transformation we'll explore together. First, we'll look at the real facts behind statins, challenging the assumption that these medications are only for younger adults or those with severe heart conditions. Next, we'll unravel the most common side effect concerns and discuss how they might not be as limiting as you'd expect when it comes to low-dose regimens. Then, we'll talk about lifestyle enhancements that, together with a carefully monitored medication approach, can bolster your heart health in powerful ways. And finally, we'll consider how taking action doesn't just fortify your body, it can also uplift your mood and sense of autonomy in this stage of life. Now, before we dive in, it's important to note that I'm not here to replace professional medical advice. I'm sharing insights gathered from health recommendations and the growing body of knowledge about statins' role in senior health. Think of this as a conversation with a well-informed friend who's done some homework on the topic. Always speak to your healthcare provider about any decisions regarding medications or supplements. However, by staying open to new information, you can become your own best advocate, shaping a heart health plan that makes sense for your unique circumstances. So let's begin this journey toward clearer understanding. As you listen, picture what it would be like to feel fully informed the next time you meet with your doctor. Ready to ask the right questions, voice any concerns, and make choices that honor your body and your life experience. Keep in mind that the goal here is not to push a one-size-fits-all approach, but to highlight that low-dose statins after 65 may well be a hidden ally in your fight against heart disease. To start, let's look at the first major misconception that holds many of us back from even considering statins in the first place. If this sparks any immediate thoughts or questions, feel free to note them down so you can revisit them later. Let's discover how debunking a single assumption could open the door to a healthier heart. A lot of us grew up hearing that once you pass a certain age, your body is just too old to benefit from new medical interventions. You might have heard friends or even other family members say, "Well, what's the point?" I've already lived a long life. This is the first major misconception that often stands in the way. The idea that statins are only beneficial if you start them in your 50s or early 60s, and that past 65 or 70, the ship has sailed. This assumption can keep people from exploring a medication that can truly help reduce the risk of heart attacks. Let's take Frank as a relatable example. He's 69, retired from a manufacturing job, and considers himself generally healthy. No major illnesses, just the usual aches. He's always prided himself on not needing prescription meds. When his doctor mentioned a low-dose statin to help manage slightly elevated cholesterol, Frank hesitated. He thought, "I'm almost 70. Why bother now?" He'd heard rumors from neighbors that statins only work if you start them earlier, or that they're irrelevant once you're a senior. But his doctor explained that research shows low-dose statins can reduce plaque buildup and lower the risk of heart-related complications, even for those in their late 70s and beyond. That was news to Frank. He had no idea the window hadn't closed on protecting his heart with medication. Here's why Frank's scenario is more common than you might think. Our arteries don't look at a calendar and decide to stop accumulating plaque just because we've reached a milestone birthday. Cholesterol levels can fluctuate and often rise with age. Even if you've been active and mindful of your diet, your body's internal chemistry evolves. The buildup of LDL, often termed bad cholesterol, can increase when hormones and metabolism shift in later years. Low-dose statins help counteract this process by reducing the liver's production of LDL and stabilizing existing plaque, so it's less likely to cause a blockage. Practically speaking, if you've never considered statins because you think it's too late, the first step is to discuss it with a medical professional, perhaps during your next routine checkup. Jot it down on a list of topics to cover, or ask a friend or loved one to remind you. Mention any family history of heart disease, and talk about your current cholesterol levels, lifestyle, and what you hope for in terms of long-term heart health. Make sure to discuss what low dose specifically means for you. There's a range of statin strengths, and finding the sweet spot often requires personalized consultation. When you open yourself to the possibility that age isn't a hard stop on prevention, you gain more control. It's not about guaranteeing you'll never have a heart issue, but about significantly lowering the likelihood. That peace of mind can be incredibly empowering. Physically, it means there's a proactive tool in your arsenal to help keep your arteries clear. Emotionally, it signals that it's never too late to invest in a healthier future. By challenging the misconception that starting statins after 65 is futile, you give yourself permission to consider a potentially life-changing option. It's worth pausing here to reflect. Is there something in your own health routine that you've avoided simply because you assumed the time has passed? Maybe it's a strengthening exercise class at your local senior center, or that cooking course you've been eyeing to make healthier meals. These limitations can creep in silently. Challenge them. Embrace the possibility that your body and mind remain adaptable and responsive, even into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Give yourself a chance to learn something new or try a different angle on old habits. For now, keep this viewpoint in mind as we move to the next big hurdle that often scares seniors away from even talking about statins, the fear of side effects. You've probably heard at least one cautionary tale. My cousin took a statin and could hardly get out of bed. Or my neighbor felt so weak she had to stop it immediately. Stories about muscle aches, fatigue, or even more severe issues can make statins sound like a dreadful choice. It's true that some individuals experience side effects, but one key detail often gets overlooked. The dose matters. High-dose statins might bring a higher likelihood of certain side effects, whereas low-dose regimens can be significantly gentler, especially under proper medical supervision. Take the story of Martha, who's 73 and has struggled with borderline high cholesterol for years. When she finally agreed to try a statin, she was put on a moderate to high dose due to her family history of heart disease. Within a month, she started feeling muscle cramps and stiffness in her legs. Frustrated, she stopped taking it and warned all her friends that statins are terrible. But what she didn't know was that her doctor could have adjusted her dose or switched her to a different type of statin. There's a spectrum, from very mild doses all the way up to the stronger ones. When she eventually saw a heart specialist, he suggested a different statin at a significantly lower dose. With that change and some daily stretching exercises, her muscle cramps subsided and her cholesterol levels improved. This points to an often overlooked truth. Medication isn't a one-size-fits-all scenario. Just as you test different eyeglass prescriptions to find the one that best corrects your vision, you can explore different statins or dosage levels to minimize side effects. Most doctors are willing to have that conversation, but they need to know your full history. Do you have arthritis? Chronic kidney disease? Are you also on medication for blood pressure? All these factors play a role in determining whether and how statins will affect you. If you're concerned about potential side effects, here's a practical tip. Keep a symptom diary for the first few weeks of any new medication. Jot down anything unusual: fatigue, muscle twinges, changes in mood or sleep. Share that diary with your healthcare provider. Often, tweaking a dose by just a little can make a big difference. If your doctor isn't open to exploring dosage adjustments, consider a second opinion. It's your body, and you have every right to find a regimen that works for you without compromising your quality of life. So what are the real benefits of going through the effort to find a low-dose approach that suits you? For starters, statins help reduce the risk of plaque formation in your arteries, which directly lowers the chance of a heart attack or stroke. Moreover, stabilizing existing plaque means fewer worries about it breaking off and causing blockages. The emotional benefit is huge. Fewer emergency hospital visits, fewer moments of anxiety when you get a strange pain in your chest. Instead of living in constant fear, you can feel more confident about your heart health. That said, it's crucial to remember that statins are not a magic pill. They work best in combination with a heart-healthy lifestyle, meaning balanced meals, some form of physical activity appropriate to your mobility level, and ongoing medical checkups. But rest assured, if you do need a low-dose statin, it doesn't automatically mean you'll be bedridden with side effects. On the contrary, many seniors tolerate them just fine, especially once the right dose is identified. As you digest this, think about your own concerns around medication. Do you avoid certain medications because a friend or relative had a bad experience? Have you sworn off entire categories of drugs due to what happened to someone else? It's human nature to hold on to these anecdotes, but remember that each body is unique. What was true for one person at a certain dose might not be true for you. Remain open, ask questions, and insist on personalized care. Here's a quick check-in. How do you feel about the potential for side effects now that you know dosage options exist? Is there something you'd want to discuss more thoroughly with your physician or pharmacist? Keep a mental note or write it down to revisit later. These points of hesitation are valuable. They guide you toward deeper understanding and ultimately better decisions. Next, we'll look at the third challenge, the worry that relying on medication will overshadow the need for a healthy lifestyle. Many seniors fear that starting a statin will become a crutch, leading them to slack off on exercise or dietary habits. Let's explore why the exact opposite often happens when seniors properly combine medication with lifestyle changes. The idea that taking a medication might make you complacent about your health isn't uncommon, but it's typically untrue, especially if you're already someone who values wellness. Think about 67-year-old Anita. She's been mindful of her diet for years, trying to incorporate more fiber and vegetables, and she loves her evening walks around the neighborhood. When her doctor suggested a low-dose statin because her LDL numbers were creeping up, Anita hesitated. She worried that if she started a medication, she might lose her motivation to keep up her daily walks or her balanced eating, thinking, well, the pill will take care of my cholesterol, so why bother? However, once Anita began taking the statin, she noticed something interesting. Her energy levels improved slightly over the next few months. She didn't suddenly feel like a teenager, but she did feel more confident about her health. That spark of confidence encouraged her to try new recipes focused on heart health and eventually join a low-impact aerobics class. Far from becoming complacent, she found renewed motivation to invest in her well-being. Why does this happen? Medication and lifestyle changes can create a positive feedback loop when managed properly. Statins help lower bad cholesterol and reduce plaque buildup. Seeing tangible improvements, like better lab results or a doctor's praise, can inspire you to maintain or even enhance your exercise routine and dietary choices. Instead of thinking, the pill does it all, you might feel, I'm already taking this step. Let me reinforce it with better habits. Practically, if you start a low-dose statin, it's wise to continue or even upgrade your lifestyle habits. Focus on simple but impactful actions. Nutrition. Keep an eye on saturated fats, refined sugars, and sodium. Consider adding more beans, lentils, oats, and leafy greens, which can help maintain healthy cholesterol levels. Activity. Tailor your exercise to your comfort level. Maybe it's a gentle yoga session, a water aerobics class, or simply walking in a park. The important thing is consistency. Support system. Team up with friends or family who share your goals. Having a walking buddy or someone to swap healthy recipes with can keep you accountable and enthusiastic. When you integrate medication with these lifestyle strategies, You harness the best of both worlds, the biomedical aid that directly tackles cholesterol and the natural, whole-body benefits that come from movement and balanced eating. The result? A heart health plan that's stronger than either approach alone. Equally important is the emotional uplift that comes from staying proactive. Knowing you're taking multiple steps, both medication and lifestyle, can reduce stress and anxiety around heart disease. Stress itself affects blood pressure and other cardiovascular factors, so lowering worries can indirectly help your heart. You might also discover a newfound sense of control over your wellness journey, which can be particularly uplifting if you felt defeated by health challenges in the past. Now's a great moment to pause and ask yourself, do you see medication as an all-or-nothing solution? Do you find the idea of combining medication and lifestyle changes empowering or overwhelming? It's natural to feel a bit of both, but in many cases, seniors who adopt a balanced approach end up feeling more in control and capable. If you're unsure how to begin, talk with a healthcare professional or a nutritionist about forming a realistic plan. Start small, maybe one new healthy recipe a week or a short walk every other day, and let the momentum build from there. As you contemplate this, keep in mind that being both physically active and open to medical support can make each step more fruitful. Our final topic will look beyond the physical benefits and dive into the emotional and psychological rewards that come with safeguarding your heart health. Yes, avoiding heart attacks is the main goal, but the journey toward that goal can uplift your sense of independence and vitality. Let's explore how that happens. If you've ever felt that pit in your stomach when you consider your health, you're not alone. Fears of hospital stays, heavy medical bills, or being unable to take care of yourself can weigh heavily on anyone's mind. One lesser discussed benefit of making informed decisions about heart health, such as starting a low-dose statin if your doctor recommends it, is the confidence that grows when you know you're doing what's right for your body. This can transform fear into a focused, proactive mindset. Think about Jerry, 72, who had a mild heart scare last year, an episode of chest pain that turned out to be angina, not a full-blown heart attack. Understandably, he began to fear that any slight twinge in his chest signaled impending disaster. After talking with his cardiologist, Jerry decided to start a low-dose statin and step up his fitness routine. Over the next year, his test results improved, and he realized something crucial. Each month without an emergency room visit boosted his confidence. The very act of taking a daily pill, combined with gentle, strength-building exercises, reminded Jerry he was doing his part to protect his heart. That gave him mental and emotional space to enjoy life. He resumed fishing trips, short road trips with his wife, and even joined a community choir. What Jerry experienced was a shift from worry to empowerment. Instead of fixating on the possibility of another scare, he embraced the changes he'd made. This psychological shift often goes hand in hand with improved health outcomes because stress can negatively impact your cardiovascular system. When you feel in control, your stress levels diminish, and that in turn supports a healthier heart. It's not magic, it's physiology intertwined with psychology. Of course, it's important to remember that no medication or lifestyle plan can promise immortality. Life is unpredictable, but taking steps like a low-dose statin can reduce the day-to-day anxiety about what might happen if your cholesterol remains unmanaged. You gain a more relaxed perspective and can focus on activities and relationships that bring you joy. This can be liberating, especially if you spent years on the sidelines, unsure whether your heart is strong enough to keep up with your interests. Additionally, investing in your heart health can also enhance your social connections. Think about it. When you're less worried about sudden health crises, you're more likely to accept invitations, maybe to a grandchild's birthday party, a neighborhood gathering, or a senior travel club excursion. Feeling confident in your well-being can open doors to experiences that enrich your golden years. Rather than declining opportunities because you're unsure how your health will hold up, you can approach each invitation with a greater sense of ease. Those social bonds are yet another protective factor for overall mental and emotional wellness. By addressing the emotional side of heart health, you ensure that you're nurturing not just your body, but your spirit. Feeling at peace with your medical choices can be a powerful antidepressant. Knowing that you're doing something to maintain your cardiovascular health can instill hope and optimism for the future. Even simple rituals like taking your pill at the same time every day or logging your morning walk can serve as reminders that you're actively participating in life. Now that we've explored why age isn't a barrier, how side effects can be minimized, why medication plus lifestyle is a winning combo, and the emotional benefits of proactive heart care, it's time to bring all these insights together. Let's step back for a moment and envision how this knowledge might shape your decisions in the days and weeks to come. We've covered how the outdated notion that it's too late after 65 can keep you from a potentially life-saving option, why fear of side effects often overlooks the lower risk potential of reduced-dose statins, how combining medication with an active lifestyle can amplify heart benefits, and how embracing a proactive plan can lighten the emotional burden that so many seniors carry when it comes to heart health. The takeaway is that you have more power and choice than you might have initially thought. Each of these insights serves as a building block toward a future where your heart health is not defined by age or dread, but by informed, decisive action. It's easy to let weeks slip by, promising yourself that you'll bring it up at the next appointment. But life can move swiftly, and waiting for a crisis to force change can be scary. If you've been considering discussing low-dose statins with your doctor, or if you simply haven't had the conversation yet, there's real value in making that phone call sooner rather than later. Book an appointment, draft a list of questions, and go in with a sense of curiosity. Ask about your cholesterol levels, possible medication interactions, and exactly what low dose might look like for you. Remember, you're not signing up for a lifelong commitment on the spot. You're gathering information so you can make a choice that aligns with your goals. If you're not quite ready to see your doctor but still want to move forward, start by re-examining your lifestyle. Are there simple adjustments, like more nutrient-dense meals or gentle daily walks, you can implement right away? These changes not only support heart health, but also improve your overall energy and mobility. Think of them as your personal test run for heart-focused living. As you adopt these habits, you might find that your mindset about medication shifts naturally. You may become more open to the idea of combining pharmaceutical and lifestyle approaches once you experience the benefits of even minor improvements. From there, if you do decide to try a low-dose statin, stay engaged. Use a pill organizer to track your doses, note any potential side effects in a small journal, and keep an open line of communication with your healthcare providers. Treat the relationship with your medical team as a partnership. If something doesn't feel right, speak up. The intention is to find a balance that protects your heart without draining your vitality. This is entirely possible when you approach the process deliberately and stay vigilant about your body's signals. As for next steps, consider also talking to peers who are successfully integrating a statin into their routine. Hearing from someone who's had a positive experience might ease concerns and highlight practical tips, like the best times of day to take your pill or suggestions for diet tweaks. Community matters. You're not alone in navigating the complexities of senior healthcare, and sometimes the best reassurance comes from those who are walking a similar path. Above all, remember that you have every reason to feel optimistic. Protecting your heart at 65, 75, or even 85 is not only feasible, but can be life-changing. You hold the wisdom of decades of life experience, and that perspective is invaluable. You know what risks you're willing to take, what matters most to you, and how you'd like to spend your days. Let this knowledge guide your healthcare decisions. You may choose to have a deeper conversation with your doctor, look into community exercise programs, or even share this information with a friend who's worried about heart disease. Each action contributes to a future where your heart stays stronger, your spirit lighter, and your independence intact for as long as possible. Here's to stepping forward with a sense of empowerment, knowing that age is no barrier to taking care of your heart, and that the simple addition of a low-dose statin alongside healthy living might be exactly the boost you've been looking for.